Hi there, welcome to this class, and we've been talking about quadratic expressions and equations too. We've looked at different methods of solving a quadratic equation. So today we are going to look at the method well known as completing the square method. Consider the example: x squared plus 3x minus 4 is equals to 0. Consider the example: x squared plus 3x minus 4 is equals to 0. So what generally do we need to do to find the value of x using this method? So this is what we are going to do, but we are going to do it stepwise. So step one, we ensure that the coefficient of x squared is 1. We ensure that the coefficient of x squared is 1. If it is not 1, then we divide through by the coefficient of x squared, by that number that is there. So in this case, the coefficient of x squared is 1, and therefore we proceed to the second step, step 2. In step 2, we take the constant term on the right-hand side of the equation. We take the constant term on the right-hand side of the equation. What do we therefore have? We have x squared plus 3x is equals to, when negative 4 crosses the other side of the equation, it becomes a positive. So 0 plus positive 4 is just positive 4. In the third step, we have to make the left-hand side of the equation a perfect square. We want to make it a perfect square, so we have to look for a number such that when we add it to this expression, it becomes a perfect square. And that is what we are going to name as C. So that number we are going to name as C. So to get C, we have to take B over 2, then square. That will give us the product of AC. So B is the left. From here, we realize that the value of C is equals to 3 over 2 everything squared. So C is equals to 3 over 2 squared. And therefore, we come back to this equation and add the value of C both on the left-hand side of the equation and the right-hand side of the x squared plus 3x plus whatever we have gotten as C, which is 3 over 2 squared, is equals to 4 plus 3 over 2 squared. And for this case, when we factor this, we get x plus 3 over 2 squared as the result on the left-hand side of the equation, being equal to 25 over 4. 25 over 4. So what we need to do to find the value of x is to get the square roots of both sides. To get the square roots on both sides so that we can do away with this square side. So we get the square root of this side, and we get also the square root of this side. So the square root is going to cancel the square, so that we are left with x plus 3 over 2 being equal to, the square root of a number is either positive or a negative. The square root of a number, remember, is either positive or a negative. So we have plus or minus. Square root of 25 is 5. Square root of 4 is 2. So to get the value of x, we take this on the other side of the equation so that we get x is equals to, we can start by a positive 5 over 2. This is a positive. When it crosses the equal sign, it becomes a negative, so we have minus 3 over 2, which is just equal to 2 over 2, which is 1. Or x is equals to, we can take negative because we took positive for the first case, negative 5 over 2 minus 3 over 2. And this is going to give us negative 8 all over 2, which is just negative 4. So the two values of x are positive 1 and negative 4. So we are going to look at the second example, example 2. And here, let's look at a different type of examples, whereby we have x squared minus 5x plus 6 is equals to 0. And you are told to find the values of completing the square method. In this case, the coefficient of x squared is 1, its unit, and therefore we move to the second step, whereby we take the constant term on the other side of the equation to have x squared minus 5x is equals to, if we take positive 6 on the right hand side of the equation, we get negative 6. 0 minus 6 is negative 6. Now, at this stage on the left hand side of the equation, we have to make it a perfect square. And how do we make it a perfect square? We have to get b over 2 squared, which is just equivalent to c. Now that we know that a is a unit, a is 1. So 1 times any number is that number. So b over 2 squared can be written as c. So let us find the value of c. So the value of c will be b, in this case, our b is negative 5. So we have negative 5 over 2, everything squared, and that is going to give us c. X squared minus 5x minus 5 over 2. So we are going to have an additional sign because we are adding on both sides of the equation. We are adding it on the right hand side of the equation and on the left hand side of the equation. So this is going to be a positive. Let me write it clearly so that you are able to see. So we are going to have x squared minus 5x plus c, which is negative 5 over 2 squared. This is equivalent to having negative 6 plus negative 5 over 2 squared. At this stage, we just take x minus 5 over 2, then we square that, because already we are sure that this is a perfect square. We've made it a perfect square, so we can say x minus 5 over 2 squared is equals to negative 6 plus negative 5 over 2 squared is the same as 25 over 4. Negative 6 plus 25 over 4 is going to be equal to a quarter. So the right hand side of the equation we have a quarter, then the left hand side of the equation we are just going to have x minus 5 over 2 squared. Then what do we need to do next? We need to ensure that we remove the square sign by getting the square root on both sides of the equation. And by so doing, this is what we have. So this square root goes like that. So we are left by x minus 5 over 2 on the left hand side is equals to the square root of 1 over 4 is positive or negative. Remember to put the two signs when you are getting a root always, because you might end up being denied a single mark due to that. 1 over 2. The square root of 1 over 4 is plus or minus 1 over 2. So to find the value of x, we take negative 5 over 2, the other side of the equation. So we have x being equals to either positive a half, we are starting by this sign, positive a half, then this is a negative 5 over 2. When it crosses the equal sign, it becomes a positive 5 over 2. Or x can be, we can decide to use the negative so that we have negative a half plus 5 over 2. 6 over 2, which is the same as 3. Which is the same as 3. In the second case, negative a half plus 5 over 2 gives us 4 over 2, which is the same as 2. And therefore, the two values of x are 3 or 2. So we basically say that these are the roots of this particular quadratic equation that we have. X squared plus minus 5x plus 6 is equal to 0. So the two roots are 3 or negative 2. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye.